Welcome to Surgeon Syndicate. If you're paying attention, you know that you only make money when you work. It might be great money, but it's dependent on you. The information on this podcast will help you solve that. We interview experts and provide analysis into financial freedom through commercial real estate. Why? To help physicians like you thrive. Let's dive in.
Hello, Syndicate, and welcome to the show. Today, we're going to talk about fear and how fear keeps us from achieving our goals, specifically for this show, our financial goals. Yesterday, I was looking at LinkedIn and I saw a post where somebody was showing effective doctor income over the last 5 years and how basically it's shrinking by a few percentage points every year. And the discussion was a lot about how this wasn't fair, and you could feel the palpable fear of the work people were putting in and that fear that they weren't going to get where they wanted to go. We've all been there. Becoming a doctor isn't easy. We studied hard in high school, studied hard in college, got good grades, went to medical school, put in that work, and then went through residency, which was also very hard. And then finally, on the back end, there's supposed to be a payout and some financial certainty. So when we get there and that payout isn't there, that's highly distressing. There's a lot of fear amongst doctors about their financial futures. And part of what I'd like to do today is dive into that fear, not just the fear about the future, but the fear that keeps us from doing something different. So a story, this comes from Earl Nightingale. About 100 men. They all start off even at age 25. For doctors, we'll say they all start off even at age 30 or even 35, depending on how long your journey was. Of these 100 docs, all of them believe they're set for success. All of them are eager for success. But at age 65, one of them is rich, 4 are financially independent, 5 are still working, and 54 are essentially broke. Now, in the doctor world, they may not be broke. They may still have a nice house. They may have a nice car. But the moment they stop working, they're in a financially tough place, and they may work until they're 75. Now, I know some docs work until they're 75 because they just love it. It's part of who they are. But there's a good number also who are working later in life because they really don't feel like they have the financial freedom to quit working. They don't have the resources to quit working. So of the 5 who made the grade, the ones who are financially independent, the ones who are rich, what's the difference with them? You know, we're all given the same story that we should work hard, put money away in your 401k, invest in the stock market. And that's probably from the doctor's story, rather than the 54 being broke. Those 54 have a 401k, they have some money, but they don't feel financially free, and they may feel pretty stuck. So why don't we do other things? Why don't we invest in other things? I think it comes down to fear. For me, it was fear. And, 3 typical fears. A fear of failure. What if I try and do something different and I end up with less money? Maybe I should just stick with the defined path. Fear of criticism. What if I fail? And what are other people going to say? See, you should have known better. You should have just followed the path. You should have stayed on track. And fear that I'm not worthy. Do I really deserve to make that much money, to have my investments work for me? This was a tough one to look at because I think a lot of the time as doctors, underneath all of these, there's a fear of not having approval from our peers, from our family, from our spouse, fear of not having control over these things. Doctors love to have control. And I feel like if they put money in alternative investments, like they've lost that control. Do we really have that much control in the stock market? Really all it offers is liquidity. You can sell it at any time. We don't really have any control over it beyond that. And the fear of not having safety goes back to the other fears. If I invest in the same stuff as everybody else, and when it goes south, I lose 20% as the stock market cracks when we go into a recession with everybody else, at least we're all there suffering together. We need to understand that to get through these fears, we have to be willing to give up the things we fear. We need to give up the need for approval to get approval. We need to give up the need for control to gain control. We need to give up the need for safety to gain safety. So these things start working together, and they can work for us or they can work against us. On the other side of these fears, I think there's also in the doctor mentality, there's a fear of success, a fear of financial success. Everybody talks about, oh, that greedy rich doctor, while that doctor is just killing themselves, trying to gain a little success for all the work they've put in. But there's a common belief in medicine, I see this amongst doctors, that there's a need to suffer. Feel like it's okay to be a rich doctor if you suffer for it. Look how hard I work. So there's a need to suffer for your money. There's an idea out there that it's not right to make money without working for it. Somehow it's bad if somebody's got a good passive income. Like, where do you get that extra money? I don't see you working extra hours. Somehow that's cheating and not right. There's a belief that if you have money, and you get this in movies all the time, that the rich people took other people's money, and that I'm not like that. I'm going to suffer for my money. So there's almost a fear of success. Another Earl Nightingale quote, and I don't know if I got the quote exactly right, but he says the American economy is designed to be slowed down to protect the weakest link. I think a lot of systems are that way, that they're designed to slow things down to protect the weakest link. And if you don't want to be part of that system that's slowing things down for everybody else, you have to design your own way. There's a great Shakespeare quote. Anybody who knows me would laugh that I'm quoting Shakespeare because they know I'm not any sort of a literary genius. But it goes, our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we might win by fearing to attempt. I say that again. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we might win by fearing to attempt. I suffered from that. My road down real estate towards financial freedom was really slow because I was afraid to do something different. And because I wasn't stepping into it, I wasn't gaining that good that I might otherwise have. I mean, you got to look around and look at the abundance around you. And you have to believe that you have a right to this abundance as much as anybody else. You don't have to suffer as a doctor. You don't have to worry about the next Medicare cut and how that's going to take away your financial security. There's another road, if you start down that road, to find that freedom. Everything you want is available to you as long as you don't tell yourself a story as to why you can't have it. You got to tell yourself a story of how you can have it. You have to fear not moving towards your goals more than you fear failure. You have to fear being stuck. That's where I was. I was in fear of being stuck. I was burning out. I knew that my physician income was going to go away at some point because that was the road I was on. So finally, that fear of being stuck became greater than the fear of failure. Now, for somebody else who's out there, maybe, you're loving being a doctor. It's a great thing, but I see this amongst a lot of docs, and that's where this whole show started with the LinkedIn post that, it feels like we're being chipped away at all the time. And there is a better way. We doctors still get paid well, and you just have to make a plan of how you're going to move forward and get past that. So that's what we're going to do on this show. We'll talk about some additional mindset stuff. Stay tuned for some of the interviews. These are here to help educate you to get past the fear, to want to invest in real estate. It's the greatest way to build wealth and financial freedom that I know. One last thought, I call this the doctor stress trap. The whole program of being a doctor is built around stress. There's stress in school, there's stress in residency, and there's stress at work. Once you get through all the stress of becoming a doctor, the stress continues, and the system is built there that you're making money, but it's set to just keep you going. You're making enough to keep you going, but not enough to set you free. Think about that stress and the amount of potential that stress steals. Potential and energy that could be shared with your loved ones, that could be shared doing great things to improve the world, that can be shared living a big, bold life. One of the key things that I found to get past that is once I no longer had the stress of where my money was coming from, that I saw my money growing and the amount of passive income every month coming in getting bigger and bigger, I could see a timeline to when I no longer needed to work to trade my time for money and where I would be free. So if you'd like to join that road again, please tune into the podcast and stay tuned for the next episode. Go ahead and listen to it right now. We'll be speaking with some great real estate pros and find the way to get past the fear of failure through education. This has been an episode of Surgeon Syndicate. If you got value from this episode, you know other surgeons are hungry to become job optional, and you can help them by sharing this content today. Schedule a call and we can make a plan. Looking forward to having you with me on the next episode.